Okay, here goes nothing. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well today. My name is Michelle Hinojosa. I'm from a staff member of Future Fiction Academy. Today, we're going to continue on with what we did yesterday, which was we started up a short story, a mystery short story, and we're just going to have some fun today and continue that. So, thank you, everyone, for joining me. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll be watching the chat as I can, and we'll just get started. Hello, Dion. How are you doing today? My allergies are kind of bad, so if you see me coughing a little bit, I'll do my best to remember to mute every single time. Sometimes one slips out, so we'll just see how it goes. Hey, Stacy, how you doing? And there's Death by Diva. Everyone's here to have some fun. All right, so the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to go ahead. I'm going to jump into my notes. I have just a few prompts that I started writing just to kind of streamline things, and we'll just pick up where we left off before. If you're not familiar with where we left off before, let me pull up my sheet. Okay, so everyone can see that. I'm hoping, looks like everyone can. Uh-oh, Dion doesn't know what she's doing. Okay, so what we did yesterday is we just went into Playground, OpenAI Playground. We're calling it Opie now, Elizabeth said, so we're going to go with Opie. We just kind of had it generate a little bit of a short story. It's a mystery short story with some horror aspects. It's a mummy in a museum, kind of the typical niche of the mummy, but I think it'll be fun to do. So we're going to start with that. So I'm going to take a sip of my tea, excuse me. And just a brief overview of what we did. We have a mummy that was delivered by a archaeologist who has a little bit of some nefarious plans for why the mummy's there, and we're going to kind of explore that and just continue on with the story. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to actually copy what we already have here because we're going to be using this. And then I also have some character motivations and whatnot, so we're going to copy all of that in here. Because eventually, either today or my next live, we're actually going to be taking everything we're generating in OpenAI Playground into Rexy and get it to start generating some prose. All right. Hello, Miss Swift. Nice to see you. Okay, so let me pull up my notes. All right. And the notes should be linked into the details below. If they're not, just let me know and I'll put them in chat. But as far as I know, they should be. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put my story idea into here. I'm just going to copy and paste this prompt because it's something that I was working on last night. So you guys probably cannot read this. Let me make it a little bit bigger. There we go. And let me do the same for my other screen. All right. So the prompt says, "Good morning." I'm always very polite to the AI. The way the AI is built, it's built to like have human interactions. So I find that if I'm polite to it, it's normally giving me better answers. That's just my personal experience. But so the prompt is, "Good morning. Please read the story idea below." And then we have our story tags in our little Tupperware container. So we're going to put the story idea right between these, and that'll tell the AI, "We're going to read this. This is what we're working on. So please keep this in mind." Sometimes it still goes off the rails, but for the most part, usually it sticks to what it's doing. After it does that, it's going to see we're asking it, "Create a character list for each character in the short story using and expanding on the deep character motivations and challenges. Please include physical description, internal goals, external goals, character arc, emotional wound. Combine and use the Enneagram and Myers-Briggs to help classify the type of character and help determine the character personality and behavior. Feel free to add any other characteristics an author needs to make these characters come alive on the page. Also include if the character is a main or side character." So we are asking the AI a lot, but normally it's because it's a very concise prompt and normally is able to do it. I've run this in Rexy with great success. I've not run it in Playground, OpenAI Playground, so we're going to see how that goes. And if it doesn't work, we're going to, make some changes because that's what we do when we're working on this. We just adapt to what it's deciding to do. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this because I don't remember if I did. And I'm going to open up OpenAI Playground because I forgot to. Okay. And I'm going to go back into here. The reason I went back into the story ideas for mummies is because we already have our system prompt here. The system prompt is, you are a writing assistant who is an expert in every element of story writing, craft, plotting, and any other task an author asks you to help with. You provide detailed and useful information to allow the writer to smoothly complete each step of the short story writing process. This prompt worked really, or this, I'm sorry, the system prompt worked very well for us yesterday, which is why I grabbed it and we're just going to use that again. Because if something's working, I kind of just try to keep recycling it until it's no longer working for me. And then in here, we're going to put the story idea that I just read off to you from my Notion page. By the way, where I had that in is actually Notion. That's one of the big things that you want to learn if you're going to get into Rexy, which is our software that we use with the FFA, because it's a very powerful. It works as a spreadsheet. You can write in it. Rexy is able to actually automatically move things into it instead of you have to copy and pasting everything. Like, I've spent a lifetime copy and pasting. I am so over it. And so I am so grateful to Notion for that and for FFA to setting that up so it can be used that way. So the next thing I'm going to do is come into here and grab my story again because I copied over it like a big dummy. And I'm going to paste it right into here. Now I'm feeding a lot of information into the AI right here. So because of that, I'm going to be using the GPT-4 1106. And I'm going to mute real quick because I'm keeping my temperature at 1.8 and my top P at 0.6 because I'm trying to get it to still stay a little bit towards the Claude side of writing as opposed to the technical side of writing. So I'm keeping those temperatures the same temperatures we used yesterday. So I want to make sure I keep those because we did have good luck with those yesterday. So as you can see, all I did was I copy and pasted my story idea right in between the two story idea tags. That's very important. You don't want it outside of them because then you might confuse the AI. And now that we have that, we're going to click submit and we're going to see what happens. Okay. And so now it's actually writing out the characters. So while it's doing that, if anyone has any questions in the chat or just wants to say hi, whatever, feel free to. This is going to take a few minutes to generate because it is generating a lot of information for the characters. But I hope everyone's doing well. And let me take a sip. The difference between top P and temperature. Temperature kind of controls the creativity, how creative the AI can get. The higher, like Claude writes very creatively, whereas ChatGPT writes very technically. So if we go higher up on the temperature scale, we're going to make it write more creativity. It allows it to kind of just go wild and just have some fun, as much fun as an AI can have. The top P controls. What did I put in the actors? I will answer your question in 1 second, Gerald. The top P controls how much of what it's allowed to generate is actually able to give to you. If you have the top P at 0.6, it takes out, I believe it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Stacey, it takes out 40% of what it could generate, the lower end, and only gives you like the top 60% of what it would generate because that's what would make the most sense for this creative writing. And then I actually put in the act structure yesterday, Gerald. We had a live yesterday. Feel free, if you go to FFA, go ahead and like and subscribe to us. You'll get alerts of when we're doing new things like this. Yesterday, we actually went through and used prompts to generate this whole story idea. So that's where the act structure came in. When we were asking it to come up with the story idea, it gave it to us really, really nicely in this act structure along with the characters. So that's where we got that from. Oh, sorry, Dion, too small. Let me zoom in again. Is that better, Dion? I want to make sure everyone can read it. I'm used to seeing things so small that I forget not everyone can. Okay. Looks like we're just wrapping up on it, so this will be good. I'm going to scroll up to the top. Jen said, look who has good vision. Oh, I get what you're saying, Gerald. I got lucky with that when I generated it. It automatically gave it to me in the act structure when you follow along and you're doing it, you can specifically ask it to give you your story idea in a 3 act, a 4 act, a 5 act structure, and then it'll do it that way. I just luck of the draw, it just automatically put into that structure for me yesterday, so I kept it that way. But sometimes you have to finagle it. So if it's not giving it to you in that, just ask it. This is great. Can you please put this into a 4 act structure? And then just send it off again, and then it'll do that for you. Okay, so let's scroll up to the top and let's take a look at these characters. Now these characters in the last live had actually generated for us. So it took those same characters and now it's just really fleshing them out. It's making them feel more alive instead of just a couple sentences. Now we have more of they feel like they're real humans now. So for Sarah Collins, it labeled her as the main character, which is great because she is. Her physical description is mid-30s, sharp features, hazel eyes that reflect her determination. She often wears her hair in a practical bun and dresses in professional but worn-out attire due to her lower salary. I like that because that right there is a visual of kind of her standing at the museum. Even though she's doing great things, she's still not being paid as well as others. So that I really like that visual. Her internal goal is to gain respect and prove her worth in the field to conquer her self-doubt. Her external goal is to solve the mystery of the amulet and save the museum. Her character arc is Sarah transitions from an overlooked curator to a recognized hero and expert in her field. I like that little arc right there. That's good. Her emotional wound is she's been previously undermined and dismissed due to her unconventional background and lack of former experience, which is great because we didn't have her coming from like this big, Ivy League college with all this experience. She's the type that I think probably she went to a community college, she got her bachelor's, she does great work, she's amazing, but she's overlooked because she just didn't have the means to go to that higher education. So even though she could do the same job as others, she's overlooked because of that. So I actually really like that part of it because that actually gives it a little more depth. And then for the Enneagram type, she's type 3. She's the achiever, which is adaptable, excelling, driven, and image conscious. I'm not sure about the image conscious. It seems like she'd be a little more little bit more lackluster since her appearance is kind of oh no, I clicked it and it scrolled all the way to the bottom. Bear with me. Okay, there we go. So I'm not really liking the where'd it go? Image conscious. So let's take that out. We're just gonna keep it as excelling, driven, and we're just gonna put a period. The only thing I don't like about this, it could mean reputation equals appearance, but I'm kind of worried it might confuse the AI on that one because sometimes like with different wordings can confuse the AI. The only thing I don't like about Playground is when you edit, it moves you. Every time you make an edit, it drops you down. So you always have to go back and find your spot. Okay, there we go. So for Meyer-Briggs, she's an ISTJ, which is that's a long word, logistician, which is practical, fact-minded, responsible, and systematic. I really like that. That really does feel like her. And the adaptable and excelling and driven makes sense because she's really striving to be taken seriously in this industry where she's not seen as an equal. So that really ties into it very well. For personality and behavior, she's meticulous, dedicated, and resourceful. She can be reserved, focusing more on her work than on building relationships. Throughout the story, she learns to be more assertive and to trust her instincts, which is great. Character development, she must overcome her insecurities to embrace her strength and lead the team to success. Okay, so this I think is a pretty well-rounded character. Considering it's a short story, we're not going to have, hundreds and hundreds of pages to explore her. I think that's pretty good. It's concise enough where I think it's going to work for the short story. It might be a little bit too much information, but I'd rather have too much than not enough when I start writing. The next one is Jonathan Davis. I'm not going to read through all of him. I'm just going to give kind of some of the overview because I don't want to take the entire hour just reading you guys' characters. So, early 50s, tall with a graying beard, often seen in his well-worn field jacket, exuding a rugged charm. So his internal goal is to restore his professional reputation and reconcile his scientific beliefs with the supernatural. Let's see. The lead singer of Korn, Jen said. Character arc is Dr. Davis moves from skepticism to a balanced view that incorporates both science and the supernatural. Emotional wound, his credibility was tarnished by a past error in judgment when he misidentified a relic, which actually, when we were doing this the first time, I really liked because it makes sense that would happen because now he's so eager to just He's so eager to find these relics and identify them as actual rocks to get them in the museum. Sometimes he's a little lackluster with his what do you call it? His background, checking the background of it and just making sure it actually is what it's said to be. So that kind of allows a slip up in the story. So I like that a lot. Okay, character development is he must face his past mistakes and use his knowledge to help Sarah without letting his ego or his past failures dictate his actions, which is great. Okay, Michael Thompson, they actually labeled it as the antagonist, which is interesting because I only asked for main characters and supporting characters, but actually gave me the antagonist, but that's perfect. So late 40s, well groomed with a predatory gaze. I like that. This dresses in expensive suits that showcase his wealth. That just kind of, to me, that just kind of screams I'm the bad guy in this, which I think is amusing. Okay, so his internal goal is to achieve immortality and power, which is great because he's using the mummy to actually become immortal and keep his immortality up because he's very old. So that was perfect that it keyed in on that. Let's see. Let's go to, okay, his emotional wound is a deep-seated fear of mortality and an insatiable need to assert dominance over others. Character development, he is a descent as his relentless pursuit of power leads to his downfall. I like that. Then we have the inspector who's supporting, late 30s, athletic build. She wants to uphold justice and find rational explanations. Her character development is she must learn to incorporate unorthodox methods into her investigation and to trust in the expertise of others, expanding her worldview. Okay, for each character, you'll want to ensure their actions and dialogue align with these profiles, creating consistency and believability. Additionally, you may enhance their depth by including quirks, habits, and preferences that may or may not directly relate to the plot, but make them feel more real. That's fun. Okay, so we're going to go in here, and unfortunately, we're going to have to copy and paste. Even though I hate copying and pasting, we're going to do that right now. I'm going to show you guys a way to get away from the copy and paste, either this class or next class, depending on how much we get done. But for now, we have this, and I'm actually just going to come in here as well, and we're going to save this as characters. Okay, so we have Story Idea for Mummy Mysteries characters, and that's going to save everything that's in there into Opie. Okay, so that's what we have for that. So that's really good. So we have these characters now. So we have a really good foundation. We have a story that we have set up. We have the characters that we have set up. So this is excellent. So the next thing we want to do when we come into here, we're actually going to go into Rexy now. And I was going to use the prompter, but I think we're just going to go crazy and use WordBanger instead. Because WordBanger is going to allow us to continue if it stops off. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to write this in acts. We're going to write each act separately. Just because the limitations of how much output we can get from some of the models. Okay, so yesterday I actually also took a moment to write a little, what do you call it, a writing style. Excuse me, sorry. So for the writing style, it's please write it, or this is for the actual prompt itself. So we're going to tell it, please write a short mystery story based on the information below. There's a story brief. And for the story brief, we're just going to put in our story brief itself that we have from above. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say, I would like the story. I'm actually going to take that out. We don't need that right here. Okay. I would like the story to be eerie with a hint of horror. Or that should be mysterious. With a, I cannot spell today. There's an S in there. Okay. And is in third person POV of the main character. Here are some elements and characteristics I'd like to see. Tone and mood is dark and suspenseful and mysterious. Narrative voice is third person limited, present tense. Character descriptions are vivid and detailed. Dialogue is natural and conversational. The dialogue should match each character's personality. Pacing is going to be fast paced because it's a short story, so we need it to kind of flow. Imagery and description is going to be rich details and description. Sentence structure is varied and complex. It's mingled with short and straightforward. That should be sentences. Please follow dense sentences with simple sentences to make for an enjoyable and smooth reading experience. And I'm going to put, please aim for a word count of 8,000. We're actually not going to do that because we're going to do it in acts. So we're going to say, please, we're going to say 1,500 because we have 5 acts at 1,500. That's going to put us somewhere around there. That's math, but that's good. Okay, so we have that set up, and we're going to use that prompt shortly. But the first thing we want to do is we actually want to come into our superstructure page. Now, if you're part of the FFA, excuse me. I'm going to cough. Hold on. If you're part of the FFA, you will have access to Rexy, which is a software that we use to do a lot of what we've done in OpenAI and more. For me, I've spent a lot of time copying, pasting, learning how to work in OpenAI. So if you're just getting started out in writing with AI, I would suggest maybe either learning some beginning classes on how AI works, working out of Playground. My method was I worked in Playground for a while, copy pasted my results, copy paste my results, copy paste my results, as a lot of us do when we're starting out. And I got kind of tired of doing that. When I joined the FFA, I don't remember when that was. It was a little while back. When I joined the FFA, I realized I didn't have to do all that. With Rexy and with Notion, everything we do in Rexy, which I'm going to show you that shortly, is automatically put into Notion. So my days of copy and pasting are done, and I am so grateful for it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to create a new series. And I have to create a new series because I'm going to be working in Rexy. And when you're working in Rexy, you have to have a project, which is a series to work in. So I'm going to create my new series here. And I'm going to wait because sometimes it takes a little bit to generate. And then I'm going to click on my new series, and I'm going to come right here, and I am just going to name this. What am I going to name this? I'm just call it Mummy Mystery for now. This is a working title. And then what I want to do is I have all this great stuff in Playground that I want to be able to use to generate like the story. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, did I already copy this? I don't remember, so I'm going to do it now. I'm going to copy this. And when I come into here, I have this thing called Notion 21. This is where I'm going to put all of my story information. Because when I do this, I'm then able to tell this program, Rexy, to read this information without having to copy and paste it every time. I'm just going to tell it, read this. We call them end slots. I'm going to say, read, end slot 1. End slot 1 is my main characters. And it's going to know to go in there and look at this and use this while it's generating our prose. Sorry, couldn't get to the mute in time. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to go into my main characters. And for me, I always have in my Notion, I always have the Tupperware containers. This helps me because it helps me keep it organized. And also when it's generating in Rexy, it'll actually like kind of segment things out. So I'll know this is the main characters, supporting characters, and that sort of thing. So I do that, and this works really well for me in Rexy. And it's just something we recommend to be done. It just makes it a lot easier. In case for main characters, I'm just going to put all the characters in here first. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab all of these down here. And I'm just going to Control X out of there. So this is my main character. Then I'm going to go back over here into my supporting characters. And that's where I'm going to put the rest of these guys. But I am going to actually keep this as well because I like this. This will kind of give it some idea of how I want it to write the characters. So I'm going to also put this down here in the main characters. And what I'm doing will be explained as soon as I move into Rexy, so just bear with me as I do this. This is just some of the preparation you need to do before you actually run the prose in Rexy. So this will make a little bit more sense once I'm going in there and using it. If it doesn't, never fear. If you become a member of the FFA, we have a lot of beginner classes that'll walk you through these Notion, we call them Notion slots and Rexy and all of that, to where you could get to the point where you could just toss things in here, have it run, and then you boom, you have a working rough draft that you could start editing, that sort of thing. AI is actually moving really fast and it's actually getting really good at writing. So it's very fun to just see what it can do and kind of work with it and learn how to put your own style into it and whatnot. Okay, there is nothing in the chat. Okay, so next we want to actually go in and grab, let's see, what do we have here? Our story world elements. Save this first. I always save multiple times because I'm paranoid about losing something. Nope, that's not there. It's over here. Okay, we're going to copy this and we're going to put this into Notion as well. This is our, let's see, where is it? This is our setting. I'm going to move setting up here because I want it to be my N3 slot right now. And this is just basically, oh, nope, this is not our setting. My apologies. Trying to find here the story elements. I can read. All right, so we're going to do that. And I'm just going to, when it gives me character stuff, I just leave it in there because it never hurts to kind of just reiterate, hey, look, these are the characters you're working with. Don't create new ones. Don't randomly give me, Joe Bob Simpson when I'm, working with the characters I already have in there. So for my story elements, I'm going to bring this up because I want this one to be N3. And then we're going to go ahead and I don't know if I did a writing style or not. Yeah, I did right here. So we're going to grab this right here. And this is going to be our writing style. So I'm going to put this in here in my writing style. And I already read you guys this one. This is just the tone, the mood, the narrative voice, the character description, all of that. So this is one of the ones that I read off earlier for you. I'm just putting this all into Notion right now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type in the chat. I'm glancing at the chat as I go. So, all right. So there's our writing style. So we have our main characters, our supporting characters, our story elements, and our writing style done. And you know what? This is a short story, so that's really all I'm going to put in and all I really need. Because if it has some fun creating the museum, that's going to be fine. If you wanted to get a little more control, you could go into settings and write exactly what the museum looked like. For time purposes, because I don't want to take the entire class just writing things up in there, I'm going to go ahead and let the AI generate the museum, and we're going to see what it comes up with. We could always go in and edit and make changes after. So what I'm going to do next is I thought I already had Rexy open, but apparently I do not. I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to cough. I apologize. My allergies are horrible today. So this is, for those of you who aren't familiar, this is Rexy. This is something that you get access to when you become a member of the FFA. This software is huge. This software has helped me immensely to actually be able to plot out and finish short stories. And I'm working on a couple novels right now. For me, with my disabilities, this has become huge because this has allowed me to write at the level of a professional writer who didn't have the issues I have, which to me, that's worth, its weight in gold. So I'm going to go over here and click on log in. Oh, this is fun. There's been a technical error indicating, okay, let's close this. Let me make sure I don't have it open anywhere else because sometimes that could do it. I don't, let's try it again. Go into here, go into here. Nope. There we go. Okay. It just needed some love. All I did was refresh it and it worked. Sometimes I think I was logged into it in another browser and then I just that browser crashed. So when I got into it, I think it still thought I was logged in. But now we are good. Why are you not going away? Bear with me. I'm just trying to get the stuff at the bottom to go away and it's not going to. There we go. Yay. Okay. Hopefully that's all our problems we have today. Okay, so we're gonna go in here. Now when I first go in, I want to go into my projects. And I want to select my project. My project is right here. It's already loaded up, so I just click load and then I wait. And then once I have the Rexy is ready, that means Rexy is ready and we could have some fun. So what I want to do is, because I want to generate some prose, I want it to be creative. So I'm going to go into here, into GPT-4 1106, and I'm going to change the temperature to 1.8 like I did in Open AI. I'm going to change the top P to 0.6. And then there we go. I'm going to bump this up to 4096 just because I wanted to try to write at the max it can. And we are going to pump a lot of stuff into it. Okay, so now that that's all set up, what I'm going to do is I want to come into my word banner. No, actually, no, I don't. What I want to do first is I want to grab my Notion slots. I want to make sure it can actually see my Notion slots that I have. So I'm going to copy this link. And they moved where the Notion slots are. Let me find it real quick. End slots. Here we go. So I have to go into Elements to my end slots page. And then I have to put in that link. And then I'm going to load and refresh the page. And I'm going to wait. As you can see up here, it says it's running. So anytime if it looks like it's not doing something you're not sure, just look up here in the right-hand corner. It's going to tell you if it's doing something. If it's doing something, just give it a second. Okay. And so now, as you can see, in my N1, I have my main characters. This is the other reason I really like to tag, because when I look at N1, I immediately know what it is because I have this giant Tupperware container at the top. So I have my main characters in N1, my supporting characters in N2, my story elements in N3, my writing style in N4, and we're just going to ignore the rest of these. These are just the Tupperware containers I have in I spelled dialogue wrong. Oh no, I didn't. That's dialogue style. Okay, I did it on purpose. And so as you can see, I just go through in my Notion. I automatically set it up so it already has these because I get lazy and I don't want to type it out all the time. But you're free to do it however you want. This is just my process. So we have all this in here. So we're going to go into WordBanger. And I figure we're going to break this down into acts. So we're going to have it write Act 1, see how much it'll give us. If it doesn't give us, if it runs out of output, we can always continue. But we're just going to see how that goes. We're going to do it one step at a time because I want to show you kind of like a more beginner route. I'm not going to go in and just do a bunch at once. I'm going to do just one thing at a time so that way you guys can see and understand the process. And then later on when you're comfortable with it, you can just, machine speed forward, just insta 1 2 3 running all not simultaneously but all back to back automatically. But for now we're going to do this. So the first thing I want to do in here is I want to actually grab my system prompt, which is right here. Nope, I'm going to go back to the second real quick because I need my prompt. This prompt has been working for me really well, so I'm just going to keep using it until it no longer works. All right, and then in here, so in the insta 1 slot, I'm going to go ahead and that's where I'm putting my system prompt. This is where I'm putting my system prompt for here. The way it's working right now is it's reading this one. Then if there's anything in here, it's reading this one. And then it's reading this one. You can also say no big bang bots to reset, but I'm not going to do any of those because I'm just keeping it at the very basic level. So we're going to put our system prompt there. And then, excuse me, we're going to go in here and we're going to say, let's see, where is my, bear with me. There we go. Okay. And we actually don't need to tell it to write it based on this information. We're just actually going to take this. So I wanted to, please write short mystery based on the information below. I'm going to keep that, and then I'm going to put in my squiggly brackets, I'm going to do N1 because that's my Notion slot over, let's see, where'd it go? That's my Notion slot right here. So I'm going to do N1. I'm going to do N2, not 23. I'm going to do N3. I'm going to do N4. And then do I have an N5? No, I don't. Okay, so we're going to do that. So please write a short mystery based on the information below. So I've now given it, just by writing those ends, all of this information. Excuse me. So when I run this, it's going to look at N1, which are the main characters. It's going to look at N2, which is my supporting, etc., etc. And it's going to already know that's the information I'm giving it. So instead of copying all of that in or trying to type all that out, I just have to type this in, and now it automatically is going to know all that information when it writes. That's, to me, very powerful. And I'm going to actually just copy these because I hate typing those. Okay. And then I'm going to put, please only write to Act 1. Go no further than Act 1. Please, let's see, what's the wording? Please, I guess shoot, no. Please write a minimum of 1,500 words. Now, it's not going to give me 1,500 words. It never has. But if I put 1,500, maybe it'll give me 1,000. Maybe it'll give me 900. But I'm hoping to avoid like the 100s, the 200s, and all that. So I have this here. So please write a short mystery story based on the information below. N1, N2, N3, and 4, which are my Notion slots. Please only write Act 1. Go no further than Act 1. Please write a minimum of 1,500. Now, the reason I told it go no further than Act 1 instead of saying do not write Act 2 is because the AIs don't do very well with negatives. So saying go no further than Act 1, it's going to be able to process and it's going to has a better chance of giving me what I want over me saying do not write Act 2. Because the minute I say do not write Act 2, it's going to write Act 2 because I've written the words act or the word and the number Act 2 right there. So we're going to do this. Copy. Now that we've done that, We're going to just number repeats. We're only going to do one. We don't want it to do multiples. We're going to start banging at 1. The reason we start banging at 1 is because I'm using Insta1. So I'm going to click on Let's Bang. And then we're going to wait and see what happens. And the results show up in here. So the air in the City Museum was electric with anticipation, charged with whispers that skittered like scarabs across the ground hall. I like that Egypt reference. Shadows clung to the corners, reluctant to relinquish their dominion to the gleam of exhibit lights. Sarah Collins, her hair coiled in a no-nonsense bun, stood before the mummy sarcophagus, her sharp features set in concentration. The unveiling of the 3,000-year-old relic, a donation from the enigmatic Michael Thompson, was her chance to shine. As the clock neared the hour, the museum's patrons clustered around the exhibit, their eyes reflecting the golden hues of the ancient treasures. Sarah's hazel eyes, however, reflected only her determination. She adjusted her worn blazer, a testament to her modest salary, and cleared her throat. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady despite the fluttering in her chest, "tonight we stand on the threshold of history." The crowd hushed as Sarah recounted the tale of the mummy, a high priest during the reign of pharaohs, now a can't read that, a silent sentinel. This is really small. I just realized. Too big. Abort. No, too big. Hold on, guys. I just went into widescreen somehow, and I have no idea how I did it. That's fun. No, I don't want a magnifier. Oh my goodness. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. And I cannot zoom. Okay, so we're going to do it this way. Hopefully that's a little bit easier to read. Okay. Let's see, where was I? Blah, 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 blah. But as she spoke the final words of introduction, a chill wind swept through the hall, sending shivers down spines, making the heavy drapes billow like the sails of a ghostly galley. That's really cool. Lights flickered, and for a moment the room plunged into an abyss. Hello. I lost my place again. Okay. What it does is once it's finished, it automatically tosses it into the, over here we call this the Big Bang box. So in here, we could actually make changes if we want. So I could change his beard color from gray to blue. I could do whatever I want. We're not going to do that though. But you can make your changes in here. And once you do that, you can also, I'm not even going to worry about the line editor right now because I don't want to confuse you guys. But as you can see, it gave us a decent amount of words. Let's see. And then right here, you can see it actually auto-wrote to Notion. And I will show you that in a second. Does it tell me how many words it wrote? I thought it did somewhere. I think I missed it because it was down here. Okay, so we have all this that it wrote. So now if we go into our Notion, and we go into our Mummy Mystery, we have this auto-write button. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on auto-write, and you're going to see right here, it actually automatically wrote a few things for us. Let's see which is which. Okay, so this is completed. So I'm going to click on this, and you're going to see it actually put the entire thing that it wrote right in here. I'm going to actually remove this because I don't want this Act 1 closed with the stage set for a Journey to the Unknown. I don't want all that. I'm going to delete that. It wraps it up sometimes, and I don't really like that. Let's see. It looks like it might have wrapped this up too quickly. Let's take a look, though. Let's see. Lights flickered. We saw that one. Okay. Dr. Jonathan Davis, a man whose rugged charm was etched in the lines of his face and the gray of his beard, approached Sarah from the back of the room, his field jacket worn from countless digs whispered of adventure and ancient dust. Death by Diva said, once again, robots up in here making my work look bad. Okay, so Miss Collins, he said, his voice low and serious. There's something amiss here. Let's see. She gestured to the sarcophagus. Sarah's heart raced. The legend of the amulet was known to her. That night, as she lay in her modest apartment, Sarah's dreams were a whirlwind of sand and secrets. An ancient Egyptian priest, his eyes hollow pits of despair, warned her of an awakened spirit, seeking what was rightfully his. She woke with a start, the echo of the dream lingering like a taste of dust in her mouth. That's an interesting one. She shook her head, dismissing the vision as a trick of her overworked mind. Yet, as dawn crept through her window, an unexplained determination settled in her bones. That's actually some pretty decent writing. I'm not hating this. The following days were marred by inexplicable accidents. A security guard stumbled upon a viper in the restroom. A janitor swore he heard whispers in the Egyptian exhibit after hours. Ancient scripts appeared on the walls overnight. Their warnings clear. Return what has been taken or suffer the wrath of the Eternal. That's really fun. Let's see. Sarah found herself spending every waking moment in the museum's archives, her meticulous nature driving her to piece together the fragmented history of the mummy. Dr. Davis joined her, his skepticism giving way to a begrudging acceptance of the supernatural elements at play. That kind of happened really fast with Dr. Davis already believing. I feel like it wrapped this up too nicely. Meanwhile, the museum's plight worsened. The staff whispered of curses as they fell ill one by one. The public's fascination turned to fear, although this is a short story, so. The public's fascination turned to fear, and the museum's already precarious financial situation teetered on the brink of disaster. Inspector Emily Parker entered the fray with the pragmatism of a woman who had seen the darker side of humanity. It's a public stunt, she declared, her voice a hammer of certainty, nothing more. Let's see. But as the supernatural incidents escalated, even she began to question her initial assessment. The trio unearthed the old journal. Yeah, I'm not loving this part right here because this really wraps it up too nicely. Let's go in real quick and look at our story. Okay. Yeah, so that should stop where she's plagued by the dreams. So let's go ahead and go in, and we're going to delete everything after her dream. And we're going to go back in, and we're going to tell it to run Act 2 from the continuation of her dream, because I don't like the fact it tied in too much stuff. And sometimes that's what you have to do when you're doing this. It might wrap it up in a nice little bow. It might give you too much of the next act. You just need to delete that and ask it to continue. So we're going to go in, and we're going to see... Okay, unexplained determination settled on her bones. Let's delete everything after that. And even though I deleted it here, it's not going to be deleted from my Notion. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so we have this. And I'm going to actually go in here. And so I remember... I'm going to go into my auto write. And let's see. I don't want this stuff. I was seeing if I could do a strike through. Yes, I can. Okay, so I do not want stuff. I'm going to keep that there just in case. Like, I kind of like some of this for the next act. I'm just going to put a strike through so I know I don't want it there, but I might be able to reuse the information. Because it'd be a shame to just completely delete it if it has something nice in there. Okay. Okay, so with that done, we have all this. I'm actually going to go into my Insta2 now. And I'm going to go ahead and just tell it, continue writing. Act 2. Only write Act 2. Please write 1,500 words minimum. I like the way I worded it better in Insta1, so let me go grab that over here. I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to change this to Act 2. And I've just gone brain dead. I don't remember if I need to delete this or not. I don't think I do, so we're just going to try it. We're going to start banging it too, because I'm doing Insta2. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on Let's Bang. If anyone has any questions or whatnot, feel free to type it in the chat. Like I said, I'm looking at the chat as I go. And I hope everyone's enjoying this. Like, I'm actually really excited with what it's giving me. Why is it giving me Act 1 again? It's because I left it in the Big Bang box, isn't it? Yeah, let's stop this. Okay, we're going to delete this out of the Big Bang box. And we're going to try it now. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to go ahead and say, please write only Act 2. I forgot the 2. Go no further than Act 2. Please write a minimum of 1,500 words. Let's see. What are you doing to me? No. Okay. Let me see. Where's my auto write? I'm going to toss this back into the Big Bang. I've spent my last month editing, so I'm a little bit rusty on this part of it because I haven't done it in a while. Let's see. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to be smart. Let's go into our S slots. S slots are our save slots. So I'm actually going to copy everything it generated into my S slot. And we're going to tell it right here, please. We're going to wait. It's running. Okay, so we're going to say, please read S1. And we're just going to have it like that. And then we're going to tell it, please continue writing. Let me type, please. Period. Only write Act 2. Go no further than Act 2. Please write me 15 words. So now what it's going to do here, it's going to read S1 first, which is what it generated for us because I copied it and pasted what it had generated for Act 1 into S1. And now that it's there, I can tell it to reference that because it already knows if I'm putting S1 over here, it knows to look over here for S1. So we have that. So now we're going to say, please continue writing. Only write Act 2. Go no further than Act 2. Please write minimum 1,500 words. And we're going to click Let's Bang. There we go. Act 2. Boom. So that's what it was. I just forgot because I deleted out of the Big Bang. I was supposed to put in the S slot. So that was what it is. Even I forget things sometimes. I know it's really hard to believe, but it happens. Okay. So I'm going to attempt to read some of this, and then I'm going to get freaked out when it suddenly disappears to go into the Big Bang because I do that every time, even though I know it's coming. So, the following morning, Sarah arrived at the museum early. The unsettling dream still fresh in her mind. And when it gets to the Big Bang box, I'll make it bigger so y'all can check it out. It doesn't like it when I do it right here. Excuse me. She walked through the now silent Grand Hall. The previous night's excitement replaced by a haunting stillness. The sarcophagus stood as it had, but the air seemed thick with unspoken words, the whisper of the ancients that only the stones could understand. As she approached her office, she found Dr. Davis already there, poring over thick tomes and scattered papers that looked like they had been hastily searched through. He looked up, his eyes meeting hers with an intensity that made her pause. Miss Collins, he greeted, his voice carrying a sense of urgency. I've been researching all night. The Heart of Osiris is more than a legend. It's a key to something powerful and, until we find it, potentially dangerous. Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settle upon her shoulders. What do we do? She asked, her resolve hardening. We need to find the amulet before it falls into the wrong hands, Dr. Davis replied, standing up. According to these texts, the amulet was buried with the high priest to ensure his safe passage to the afterlife. If it's not with him, then someone must have taken it, Sarah finished, the implications dawning on her. But who? And why now? Well, let's see if it told me how many words it wrote. Not yet. It's still writing. That's what we need to find out, Dr. Davis said. We should start by examining the donation records. Michael Thompson's involvement may not be as straightforward as we thought. The two of them spent the morning sifting through paperwork and donation logs, tracing the path of the mummy sarcophagus from its discovery to its arrival at the museum. The trail was cold and filled with bureaucratic dead ends, but Sarah's determination did not waver. She had a knack for seeing patterns where others saw chaos, and it wasn't long before she found something, a discrepancy in the paperwork, that suggested that the sarcophagus had been tampered with before it reached the museum. This is actually pretty good. Like, this is actually comparing this to the results I was getting like 2 months ago. This is amazing. Like, in comparison, the AI and our ability to work with the AI has just improved so much. Like, this is something you could grab and just, few minor edits and be good with, like putting your own, obviously putting your own style into it and that sort of thing. So let's see. That evening, as the museum closed and the last of the visitors trickled out, Sarah and Dr. Davis met in the Grand Hall. And now it's up there. Okay. Get a sip of my tea. Okay, we have about 10 minutes. So I think we'll try to, let's look at the end of this first to make sure it's not wrapping it up nicely. And then if time permits, we will run. Excuse me. Okay, so let's look at the back, or the bottom rather. Okay, with hesitant hands, they opened the sarcophagus. The mummy lay within, wrapped in linens. Okay. Dr. Davis, come look at this, she called out, her voice barely above a whisper. He joined her, and together they examined the markings. They were not hieroglyphics, but symbols of a more arcane nature, symbols that seemed to pulse with an unseen energy. These are protective incantations, Dr. Davis murmured, his voice laced with awe, my apologies. But they've been defaced deliberately. Someone wanted to weaken the mummy's defenses. Okay, they worked through the night, documenting the symbols and searching for any other anomalies. It was during this examination that Sarah's hand brushed against a hidden compartment. She pried it open, revealing a small cavity. It was empty. How long have I been on mute? Okay, so I haven't been on mute that long, thankfully. Okay. I just noticed. I'm sorry. Okay, so with me, I have actually some short-term memory issues. So if you see me going back to reference a lot, it's because I just sometimes cannot remember things. So I always go back to see where my act 2 should close, where my act 3 should start, just so I make sure I'm on track. So this isn't something you'll probably be doing, but I do it a lot just because it's something necessary for my workflow. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to see act 3 starts with, okay, let's see. This is the uncovered journal. So delve into research. Okay, so the hidden location. There's no police that play with this, but I'm okay with that. So let's go ahead and let's see. As dawn approached, Sarah and Dr. Davis sat and missed their notes and ancient texts, a silent agreement between them. Um, I'm just looking through this. The heart of the mystery lay somewhere beyond the museum walls in the murky realm of greed, power, and the unyielding grip of the past. The air in the city museum, I don't like that it keeps talking about the air, was no longer just electric with anticipation. It was alive. So we're just going to put, let's see, it was alive with the whisper of danger, the echoes of a curse that had waited 3 millennia to be fulfilled. And Sarah Collins, with her no-nonsense run and her sharp determination, found herself at the center of an ancient drama that was unfolding in no. Okay. Let's see. We're going to take this out. I'm not very happy with that one. Let's see. First light of day filtered through the grand halls. They both knew their journey had only just begun. I don't like that. I'm not really a fan of this paragraph. So I'm just going to take this out as well. And we're going to go ahead and we have a few minutes left. So let's take this. And let's just, we're going to go ahead and run Act 3. And then as I go through, once everything's generated out, I go through and I kind of match up Act 2 with Act 3, and I'll kind of edit and polish so the two kind of mesh, because I want to see what the beginning of Act 3 is, so I can kind of add details into my end of Act 2 to match that, so it all just flows very nicely. So let me go ahead and grab this. I'm going to grab this here. If I was smart, I would have clicked this completion Big Bang box, because that would have allowed me to just grab this and automatically click a button to put it in S2, but I forgot to do that, so we're just going to copy and paste. Okay. And I'm going to click this now. Okay. So now we have that. So I can get rid of this from in here. And now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to grab this here. Please continue writing only Act 2, and I'm just going to change it to Act 3. And I'm going to use my Insta3. The reason I'm doing it this way is because I don't want to have to delete what I've already done. So I want to come back here and kind of glance at what I did. I can do that because I'm using a separate Insta. Go no further than Act 3. Please write a minute 1500, and then come up here and, okay, I just told it to. So please read S2. And so what it's going to do, it's going to read S2 first. And then after that, it's going to look in here. There's nothing in here. So then it's going to go to here and see that it's supposed to write only Act 3. So with that said, we're going to, excuse me, we're going to go ahead and change this to 3. And then we're good. So we're going to go ahead and click on Let's Bang. And we're going to let that run. We have about 6 minutes left, so we'll let that run. We'll kind of glance through it. And then in my next live, we'll continue with Act 4. I think it gave me 5 acts, so we'll continue with Act 4 and then Act 5. And then we'll kind of, if there's time in the class, look through it and kind of figure out what was good about it, what was bad about it. A lot of this with learning how to use the AI is looking at your results, analyzing your results, seeing where it's lacking, and then finding ways to prompt the AI, to adjust your prompting to where it fills in those gaps of what's lacking until you have something that you're happy with using. Because this is new technology, we are on the bleeding edge of this technology. It's a lot of, just trying to figure things out for yourself, or, having a good group. Like at the FFA, we all work together to figure these things out. we share prompting, we share our methods, because we're just one cohesive group that's just trying to understand and be successful with AI. So a lot of it is right now figuring things out and just trying to find out what the AI wants from you in order to get the results you want from it. And I hope that makes sense for everyone. Okay, I wasn't muted that long. Thank you, Death by Diva. Okay. Thank you, Gerald. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll just read through a little bit of this since we have about 5 minutes left. We've not really enough time to generate a new one, so we're gonna look through this one, kind of check out the end, see if the end is kind of too wrapped up, and delete the last paragraph. Maybe we'll see, depending on what it is. All right, so Act 3, they called it Shadows of the Past, which is fine. The discovery of the empty compartment within the sarcophagus sent ripples of tension through the air. Excuse me, I'm going to cough again. My apologies. Sarah and Dr. Davis exchanged a look of mutual concern. The implications were dire. Whoever had taken the heart of Osiris had done so with the knowledge of ancient rites and a clear purpose in mind. We're dealing with someone who knows their way around these artifacts, Dr. Davis said, his voice low. Someone who understands their power. Sarah nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. We need to figure out who would have access and motive. We should review the security footage from the time the sarcophagus arrived. They made their way to the security office where they met with the head of the museum security, a burly man named Frank. So it generated Frank as a security guard. I'm fine with that because he wasn't a character I really put in. So if they want to generate that for the story, that works for me. I actually like that. He greeted him with a puzzled frown, clearly not used to such late night requests. Dr. Davis, Miss Collins, what's this about? Frank asked, unlocking the door to the security room. We believe the sarcophagus may have been tampered with prior to its arrival, Dr. Davis explained. We need to review the tapes from the past few weeks. Frank nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. He pulled up the digital archives, and together they combed through hours of footage. The task was tedious, and their eyes grew heavy with the weight of exhaustion. It was well past midnight when Sarah's sharp eye caught a brief but significant anomaly. There, she pointed at the screen. Pause it. The footage showed a shadowy figure moving through the storage area where the sarcophagus had been kept upon arrival. The figure was cloaked in darkness, making identification impossible, but their purposeful movement suggested they knew exactly what they were looking for. We need to enhance the image. Try to get a better look at the person, Sarah said, her voice tense with anticipation. Frank worked with the controls up, and then it went over here. Okay, let's see, where did I leave off? Frank worked with controls, but the figure remained a blur of shadows and ambiguity. They did, however, manage to ascertain the timestamp. The intrusion had occurred just days before the sarcophagus was unveiled to the public. This narrows down our list of suspects, Dr. David mused. It has to be someone with access to the storage area, someone who knew the schedule. Their investigation took a new turn as they cross-referenced the museum's employee logs. And let me see, I'm just going to skip to the bottom since we're kind of short on time. I don't like that last sentence. I could tell without even looking at it. I don't like that last sentence. Search bar had only just begun. I don't want that. And then let's see. No. Let's see. Michael Thompson remained elusive, his whereabouts unknown. They decided to reach out to international law enforcement, hoping to track his movements abroad. The museum was a buzz. I don't like the fact that there's such short paragraphs, but that's something we can actually go in. And actually, maybe we'll do that next time. What we can do next time is I'll probably toss this into Line Editor. It's a little bit more advanced, but I think that'll be a really good thing because if I toss it into Line Editor, I could just have it add details to this one, well, two sentences, and it'll just change those two sentences, add more details without affecting things around it. So I think that's something I'm gonna actually write myself a note to use Line Editor because I could tell, rerun this and do, X, Y, Z, make it better, and that's going to regenerate everything, which is fine, but it might change things I like in there. Also, there's a bigger cost. If I go into Line Editor and just change that one paragraph, everything else around it stays the same. That one paragraph gets beefed up, and so I'll show an example of that because that is really huge because you don't have to take the time to rerun everything. You could just pick and choose where you want extra details added in. Okay. All right, wrote myself a note so I remember. Other than that, Other than the shortness of a lot of these paragraphs, which is fine. I would prefer them being a little bit longer, and we're going to make them longer next class. That's going to be what we work on before we move on to the next act, I think. Because I can either generate everything and they'll go back in and use line editor. But I think because this is a short story and I want to kind of give everyone more things to actually absorb. Next time I'm going to actually take this act, use line editor to beef it up, and then we'll move on to act 4 from there, I believe it is. So we are at the top of the hour. So I am going to stop right here. We'll continue again next week. I thank you all for coming. Don't forget to like and subscribe our channel. We have a lot of great stuff coming for the Future Fiction Academy. Elizabeth does advanced lives. I believe it is Monday and Thursday, I believe. I don't believe she's doing it Friday. I'll have to double check on that. Don't quote me on that. But Elizabeth is doing it during the week, as well as I am doing Tuesdays and Wednesdays with more beginner level. And so there's no question, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask in chat. If not, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. Thank you all for coming. Like I said, don't forget to like and subscribe. And, if you want to come, you want to join the FFA to learn things like this and work with an excellent group of people, we'd love to have you there. And I hope to see you in FFA. We offer beginner, intermediate, and advanced classes in AI, in Rexy, in writing, just everything that an author could want, you're going to find in FFA. So I hope to see you all there. All right. And goodbye. Everyone have a wonderful day. And thank you very much, Death by Diva. We have a little $1.49 donation. Thank you. Yay! All right, everyone take care. Goodbye.